Hi, this is continuation of first three videos. I'll have to call this 3B. I am covering how the DREAMS report and DWR falsified and inflated Delta historical flooding for the purpose of giving the public and voters an impression of immediate danger to the Delta Islands when it is entirely false. The problem with this report is there's a lot of data, and the truth is that the DREAMS report is a sand trap for scientists who unknowingly quote the inflammatory data from this report. And so I decided I've got to emphasize this particular factor. We already talked about how DREAMS report uses controlled flooding or intended flooding and makes it appear in the report as if it's accidental floods. Let's talk about the other aspects, other items that DREAMS report does wrong. They add records from islands that are not even located within the Delta. They use time periods from when the islands, the levees were not even built, which is ridiculous for them to do, and the scientists can't add correctly, and that is specific with reference to Ryer Island. I have to note that they did make some corrections to the Ryer Island data, but not all of them. And so we're going to go over Ryer Island's just an example. There are several other islands that they made mistakes on, but I'm using Ryer Island as the example because I know that island really well. So right now in 2011, you can see the original final of DREAMS report phase 1, and it is at this sciencecalwater.ca.gov. And all the documents are there, all the different sections. It's a huge document, and also the basic data from which they made the reports. And a lot of the scientists still use this basic data for their reports in 2011 when they do whatever they're doing on the levee studies. This is also another website, water.ca.gov. This is under flood management. And you'll note that this final phase 1 report that was published and distributed in 2008 gets posted a March 2009 correction, but actually if you go down, it was updated again in December 2009. So we're going to look at what are those updates and why. So again, just to go back to some of the previous videos, I had looked at a lot of different agencies, documents over the years that said, what are the real floods? I looked at per individual island within the Delta. I am not going to include Sassoon Marsh because that is not within the legal Delta region at this point in time. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says 31 floods. I think that is the most accurate. And then as I had shown in the timeline, those are in previous years. The levees have been improved so much that it's very unlikely there's going to be any accidental floods in the Delta. So why is this important? Once again, it's because we've got scientists like these guys. They're over at UC Davis. They've been very involved in this process. They've been using wrong Delta information, even though they were notified by me personally, at least one or two of them, that DREAMS report was wrong. They're still using wrong Delta information. In this particular one, this is Ryer Island right here. They call it Ryer Island number 50, and it's one of the repair islands, save it, but I do think that they're wrong on a couple of the other islands over here. I'm going to go on to the next series. So let's look at, this is the legal Delta region, Delta Protection Commission, Delta Protection Act of 1992, and you'll see that primary and secondary zone, and Delta ends right down by Tracy. It does not include the Sassoon Marsh. Well, the DREAMS report decides to include the Sassoon Marsh area. As you can see, that is not. This is actually, I thought it was a good one from delta.ca.gov. It's a 2008 publication. They put up Delta Facts. They hand this out all over the place. Well, what does this tell you? Where is the legal Delta region? It sure appears to be what we know is a legal Delta region, and the Sassoon Marsh. It may be San Pablo Bay and maybe San Francisco Bay. Nothing in this Delta Facts brochure, tells you where the delta is. And then it says the population's only 500,000. Well, any thinking person knows the Bay Area is way many more people than that. And what they mean by that 500,000 is they're just counting this area of the delta, the area that they want to do restoration. So we did look at, I'm talking about the legal delta region as defined by state legislature. And let's go back. This is going back to the Dreams report. Even though the report includes Sassoon Marsh and areas outside the delta, and some of their maps only include just the delta region, and this one looks at when the islands are reclaimed. Well, they use, based on their own map, time periods of flooding from before the islands were even reclaimed. Well, that's kind of ridiculous. If you're assessing current levees, why are you talking about a time period before those levees were built? This map's wrong anyway. I just was using an example of another wrong map in the Dreams report. So let's look at Dreams report. This is several of the sections of the report that are wrong, and I had sent this to the DWR saying, okay, you're wrong here. Fact is, they're wrong over in here. They're wrong over in here. They shouldn't have included this area, and they actually have islands outside the delta that they've included in the report that are way down here. And they did that because there's flooding in '97, and media reported that it was delta flooding, and there was no flooding up in here in '97. Why is all this important? Well, let me go see if we can find these tables and charts. All have wrong information, and they use means and averages. And when you start doing means and averages and you add them up, then the bottom table is also wrong, the net result. And oops, I meant to get to that. Sorry. So let's look. Their version of the total delta, where they actually use controlled and uncontrolled floods, is in 100 years there's a 1.4 chance of having a flood. In the Cache Slough area, which is that yellow bypass area, which does have controlled floods, they recognize that, and that's 2.6 times over this 100-year period. Sassoon Marsh, oh my goodness, almost 9 times over 100-year period. That's why they include the Sassoon Marsh, because it does flood a lot, doesn't really have levees designed to withstand flood. The odd thing here is the other Ryer Island, the two Ryer Islands in Solano County, one's right here. USR is actually, that does all these reports, is doing restoration there, and they decided to omit it from this whole thing. And then you've got another restoration map and these are from the Dreams report. So now it's come to where they, by 2009, this is the 2008 maps. This is 2009, and let's look historic inundations. Let's see how they fixed this. This is Ryer Island. That Ryer Island's not there, but this is Ryer Island, and this one seems to indicate there's 4 historic inundations. We know that's wrong. Again, I'm emphasizing there have been 0 since the levees have been improved for Ryer Island. And then we look at their correction, which is done December 2009, modified December 2009. Okay, so let's see how we correct it. We changed, instead of starting with 0, we start with 1. And then, so now they kind of blur the colors, but now maybe, so they're saying, let's see, is Ryer Island 2, they're saying 1904 and 1907. Well, no, still wrong. They didn't really correct that one. Let's look more. So this is a summary of comparing some of the other maps and data that are wrong, continue to be wrong, but let's look at how even in 2011, the Dreams report, that website intends to mislead. This is the 2008 one, and it shows Delta Island flood history. That's what they call it, and it's actually Delta and Sassoon Marsh. And if you went to that website and you looked at 1313B, you'd see the dates and everything, and it says 3 to 5 times for Ryer Island, We know that's wrong. That's been established. And so here is the correction. In December 2009, you can see some of the area is corrected, and thank you, they changed it for Ryer Island. Now they're saying 1 to 2 since 1900. So at least they make a slight correction. Again, the other Ryer Island that is in the Suisun Marsh, that is a subject of this report, they don't show it in there. They just kind of don't want to recognize that one, even though URS is doing restoration on that particular Ryer Island. I need you to note that you go to the website and you're still going to get the old flood history. Even though they've done some corrections, you're still getting the old numbers, even on this website. And I'm emphasizing all of this because I want you to go to the next series, and it's about the recent flooding of the Delta, what it was intended, what wasn't, and specifically I'm going to focus on the ones that in recent memory you hear in the media about the Jones Tract flooding. I believe those are more intended flooding, and it was for the Delta Storage Project, and I hope you will join us for the next series of videos. Thank you, and my name is Nikki Seward, and this has been a review of the controlled flooding of the Delta